In today's episode, in Today in World War II, I'll tell you about a German U-boat that had a great day off of England, about a very heroic British captain who wins the Victoria Cross, a vital Vichy French port changes hands without a single drop of blood spilled. Talk to you about a huge blunder that Eisenhower committed, and it has to do with Turkey. And finally, I'll talk to you about how the British coastal batteries get some nice results against the first version of a cruise missile. Let's get going here. So today, German U-boat 100 attacked an Allied convoy off of Ireland, about 100 miles west of Ireland. And I don't know what the deal was with this because I don't have the information. But the U-boat attacked all day, which makes me think that the escorts weren't there because normally if there's escorts, if there's destroyers or destroyer escorts, they're not going to let a German U-boat just attack throughout the day without going after and depth charging it. But in this case, for whatever reason, the U-boat was unimpaired and it sunk a total of 6 ships. Can you imagine what it's like to be a merchant marine sailor in that convoy and you know all day, what is that, 12 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, and this sub just keeps coming in and just sinking ships, killing your colleagues, your sailor mates. I don't know, that's just a terrifying uh idea in my head. But this was 1940, and the Brits, while they had a lot of experience with German U-boats in World War One, you know, maybe the mind was willing, but the body wasn't able to do it. In this case, probably, if you think about, okay, this is November 23rd, 1940. What's going on in that period of time? Well, the Battle of Britain just ended. As far as they know, they're still under the threat of German invasion across the channel. So they had to keep their destroyers close to be able to destroy the Germans as they crossed the channel to invade the home islands, which meant there were less destroyers available for convoy duty, which probably explains why this U-boat had a field day. The German U-boat crews called these the happy times because there wasn't much in the way of organized resistance. They could just come in and just it's like going in and clubbing baby seals on the Arctic ice. Not much resistance there. There are no polar bears out there to take you down. In this case, the polar bears were, for the Germans anyway, they were on the channel waiting to stop it in German invasion. It never came. So they ended up sinking about, this is their German U-boat sank about 24,000 tons worth of shipping and killed a total of 19 sailors. Uh, don't kill the mood. I mean, the German U-boat killed the sailors. You don't kill the mood. And the way you kill the mood is by not subscribing to my channel. All you have to do is click the subscribe button and then click on a little bell that will notify you whenever I drop a new video. I usually drop a video once a day, so you want to be notified when these things hit, so that way you can swing over to YouTube and watch these videos. Thanks. On November 23rd, 1941, a British captain, Philip Gardner, led 2 tanks, Matilda tanks, British tanks, in an attempt to rescue 2 armored car crews that had gotten pinned down under German fire near Tobruk, Libya. Now, of course, this was German fire, and Tobruk had been a hotly contested port in Libya by both sides, and it changed hands 2 or 3 times during the North African campaign from 1940 to 1943. In this case, this British captain was, trying to save his comrades from being killed or taken prisoner, and he showed such heroism that the British awarded him the Victoria Cross, which is the highest medal of valor you can get as a military person in the British Armed Forces. It's like the American Medal of Honor or the Soviet Gold Star, hero of the Soviet Union or Russia now. So it's a pretty big deal. I tell you, the British First Division, the Desert Rats, the infantry division, they fought long and hard in North Africa. And what can I say? I mean, they were worthy adversaries to the Germans, to Rommel's Africa Corps, and just want to get a little plug to the Americans because uh, Rommel just shot their tanks out from under them with his 88 millimeter artillery. And if it wasn't for American resupply of tanks and trucks, they would have been in a world of hurt and probably would have lost the Suez Canal. Having said that, all the resupply in the world can't save you if you're not brave enough to go toe to toe with the enemy and defeat them on the battlefield, which is took the Brits a while, but they ended up kicking Rommel out of North Africa. So good for them. What's also good for you is if you like and comment on about this video. It doesn't take you very long. I mean, clicking the like button takes 2 seconds, and just leave a comment. Just tell me I'm a nice guy, if that and nothing else, because it really helps the algorithm. And if you want to support this channel, then that's the best way to do it is to subscribe and to like and comment on my channel. Thanks a lot in advance. Also, on today, November 23rd, 1942, the very vital French West Africa port of Dakar switched sides. It was under Vichy French control until this day when the Vichy governor changed sides. This allowed the Allies to take control of that, again, vital port without having to shed a single drop of blood. Makes you wonder what happened, right? Well, for the background on this, if you remember, in 1940, the Germans conquered France. In their armistice settlement, the Germans allowed them to keep the southern part of France and the French Riviera, and where all the naval ports were, under a puppet government, which was called Vichy France, the Vichy government, because the new capital of this pseudo republic was located in Vichy, a town there in the middle of that territory. Well, all of the colonial fleets that were based, well, not just based overseas, but in Toulon, which was the main naval base on the Mediterranean for the French fleet. In Algeria and Morocco, they had fleet units there. They were under control of the Vichy government, and they were, how do I put this? They were allowed by the Germans to not subordinate their fleet to German command. And this was a very thorny issue because the at this time the Brits were on their own in 1940 and 41, and so they were deathly afraid that the French Navy could be if it went to the Germans, then it could be a decisive victory or lead to a decisive victory against the Royal Navy because the French fleet was pretty powerful and it was pretty good. Now, the French, on their part, they said that they would never let the fleet go to the Germans. They would scuttle their ships. If that happened, this led to a very tragic battle. Churchill didn't believe them. He said, I can't take the chance. So he sent his fleet in 1940 to attack the French fleet on the North African ports, and he sank a lot of their ships. And to this day, there's still bad blood between the UK and France about that. The French feel like it was a betrayal. In this case, they were able to, whether it be payoff, they paid off the Vichy France, a French governor, or don't know. Whatever they did, it worked because he surrendered or he switched sides and allowed the Allies to take control of that port, which was right smack in the middle of British trade lanes from South Africa to the UK. On November 23rd, 1944, General Eisenhower was a living embodiment of the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. This was Thanksgiving, and Eisenhower wanted every soldier under his command to receive a full Thanksgiving dinner, and that even meant the soldiers on the line. At the time, there was a very fierce battle going on in the German Hürtgen Forest. This is a forested area, obviously, in the southern part of Germany, and we're talking about thick, thick forest. Now, the trees aren't as big as the redwood forest in California, but you can imagine that type of environment where you can't see 10 yards in front of you because of the undergrowth and the trees and so forth. And meanwhile, Eisenhower and his generals had a bright idea to attack into a forest which was made for defense. And from what I understand, it was hell on earth for the American soldiers there, mostly the America First Infantry Division, the Big Red One, because, think about this. You've got the enemy able to entrench themselves almost invisibly in dugouts, cover themselves with brush. And then you had the German artillery, which was always to be feared anyway. And meanwhile, they could just lob shells into the forest canopy. In addition to having the shrapnel wound the American soldiers, it was also the splinters from the wood, that from the branches and the trees, that could do just as bad, if not worse. So anyway, the battalion troops, they said, yes, sir, we will try to get at least some turkey sandwiches to the GIs. And well, as the GIs crawled out of their foxholes and were lined up to get their food, now the Germans opened up artillery fire, and it was just a fiasco. And it was a bloody fiasco because many, many soldiers died and were wounded, suffered heavy casualties because of this. So, Turkey reminds me of the WKRP in Cincinnati episode where Mr. Carlson wants to do a Thanksgiving Day promotion, and he decides to drop live turkeys from a helicopter. And Les Nessman is saying, as the turkeys are hitting the ground and they're splatting on the pavement like bags of wet cement. And Carlson later said, as God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly. Well, Eisenhower had a Mr. Carlson type moment, although much more tragic when it came to our soldiers, because turkeys and heavy artillery in a forest environment do not mix.